Grief Karga said you were coming.
What else did he say?
He said you were the best in the parsec. Bounty hunting is a complicated profession.
You are a Mandalorian. Your ancestors rode the great mythosaur.
Your name will be legendary.
I don't know if you heard, but the Empire is gone.
We have you 4-1.
I like those odds.
Hello and welcome to Mandalorian Minute, a show about the Disney Plus series, The Mandalorian. I'm Travis Fishburne.
And I'm Dustin Meadows.
Yeah, flying by ourselves this week. And if I crash it, you can blame me. And this week we are talking Chapter 18, The Mines of Mandalore. It's a crazy episode, this one, where we went straight to the thing that I thought it was going to take us quite a few episodes to get to.
Yep.
And so, Dustin, what did you think of this episode?
I dug it. I think it was a nice step up from a fairly inauspicious start for the season.
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of surprised at how, I mean, we'll get into the specifics later, but I definitely didn't think that we were going to get the resolution we got for this episode so quickly.
Yeah.
It felt just very as like, oh, it's just that far away. Okay. But I dug it. There were some really cool visuals, some really cool stuff that we haven't seen yet in live action Star Wars. I also really, I know I've said this on the podcast before, like I would just love a Star Wars horror movie. There were a few moments during this episode that kind of had those shades of that, and I really dug it. Some cool creature designs. So yeah, I dug this episode a lot more than I dug the first one.
Yeah, very action-packed. Lots of things going on in this episode.
Yeah.
A lot of just like crazy things jumping at you from the dark.
Yeah.
I watched this episode like again with my son this morning, and he jumped, I think, no less than 4 times throughout.
Amazing.
So yeah, the episode begins where we are. Remind me where it begins.
Starts with Pelimoto on Boonta Eve.
Yeah. On Boonta Eve, on Tatooine, we see Pelimoto, and Mando comes in for a landing, and she's like, this guy again. All right.
Hold on, before that,
Mm-hmm.
we find, unless I have missed it, did she just 180 and like now she's just a con artist?
For
like,
sure.
Holy...
That's exactly what she's doing.
Like, it seemed like a huge shift. So I was like, yeah, like she's like street smart and stuff, but like she's straight up just running a chop shop now.
Absolutely. That's what she's doing.
Yeah, so like that kind of caught me off. I dug it, but I felt like it was a little inconsistent with what we've seen of her before. Because I mean, honestly, probably after Grief Karga, she's the side character that I think we've spent the most time with.
Yes. Oh yeah, for sure. There's her, Bill Burr, Kara, but like, yeah, her and Grief are I would say the 2 standouts.
Yeah, like I feel like we've definitely spent the most time with them as far as people that aren't Grogu and the Mandalorian. So yeah, like it felt like maybe a little inconsistent characterization, but I still dug it. I like the idea of her ripping off the poor Rodian and all these other people during the Boonta Eve festivities.
Exactly.
And then just doing back alley deals with Jawas.
Yeah, she wanted to be Albert Brooks and Drive.
Yeah.
So, and then Mando and Baby Yoda show up, and she's like, hey, you need a droid? Why don't you take old R5-D4?
Because they don't make IG-88 or IG memory units anymore, so she gives them a faulty astromech droid.
Yeah.
who's also a gigantic coward. Now, I like that as soon as she showed, like, we get that, hey, it's got a bad motivator moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, he's got a bad motivator, but he's a hero of the rebellion, as far as we know, or as far as she is saying.
Yeah, that's it. He's built for adventure, but we come to find out shortly he is also a gigantic coward.
Yeah. So then he's like, all right, I'll take him. Like, I need to get this done, which I was very surprised that he took on R5, because it seemed like he really had his heart set on old IG-11.
Yeah.
So I
like, as soon as he got there, like, I was fully excited. I was like, oh, okay, this is gonna be him. This episode is him fetch questing an IG memory unit. And I was like, oh no, they're just watching there. Okay, I guess we're not gonna do that.
Yeah, for some reason, she's like, take this guy. He's just as good. It's like, all right. There's only been one other droid I've trusted, but this guy I've met one other time. He's gonna work out.
Yeah, yeah. He's loosening up in his robophobia.
Yeah. I like Peli still doesn't have a tooth from when she lost it at the end of the Book of Boba Fett.
Oh, that's good. That's consistent, at least. That's good.
So then he goes straight to Mandalore from that.
Yeah, just right there.
And there's a little turbulence going in, which is all right. But then we see Mandalore, and I'm going to put up an image right now, because how it looks now is very different from how it appeared in the Clone Wars, where there are these big dome cities, and we just see like a completely ruined dome. We see like this. I think it's the same like angle on the city as they're coming in, and it's just a crazy thing here. So Mandalore, during the Clone Wars, it's got a deep history of being like war torn and them fighting amongst themselves and doing it to an extent, hundreds of years ago, maybe thousands, that they rendered the whole planet pretty much inhabitable. And then, so it was like all sand, kind of like Tatooine, and they were forced to live in these dome structures. So it's interesting that the place that was like inhospitable before is made even more so by the Empire.
Yeah. Well, now, like, so originally, was it like underground too?
No, not underground, just like in these domes. But I think they like might have gone kind of like deep. It might be underground a little bit. Yeah.
I mean, I got the impression that, like, when they were looking at the ruins, that they were underground.
Yeah. No, I think that does make sense. And
the mines of Moria.
Yeah. And I'll go ahead and I'll show another image of Mandalore, and this is from the inside. And this is when Bo and Grogu are looking down at it, and you're right, they are looking down. And this is also compared with how it looked in the Clone Wars, where we've got, a lot of very cubist looking stuff. We got Obi-Wan there with Bo-Katan, so we get a little, consistency there with this character who's been there before. I really like the fact that, we're seeing her come back to this place. So we saw her so many times in the Clone Wars, and now she's like, oh, look at this shit show.
Yeah, I like that we get as much time with Bo-Katan as we do in this episode.
Yeah, more than, not necessarily more than the the finale of season 2, but quite a bit, and definitely more solo than we ever have.
For sure. Yeah, I thought that. I really dug that.
And I also dug how the Mando surface looks. It with the, green glass, like it's jutting out everywhere. I think it was really reminiscent to me of like classic original series Star Trek is what it looked like.
Yeah, I can see that.
So then old Den, he sends R5 out on a mission and loses contact pretty quickly.
Yeah, it goes off the sonar within seconds.
Yeah, and so he goes out to look for him, and what does he come across but
Slee stacks?
Some slee stacks. Okay, slee stacks. I made a visual note that, and I'm going to throw that up now. And that's the surface of Mandalore again. I thought these things reminded me quite a bit of the Morlocks from the H.G.
I can
Wells
see
Time
that too.
Machine. Yeah,
I can see that too. Look wise, it's not there, but like vibe, at least within the first couple of seconds.
Yeah,
I thought of what was it from the Fallen Empire? Like was it the Night Witch brother dudes or?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like like they don't look like them, but like it's like just that section of the game I thought of, because like these pretty strong dudes like just kind of coming out of nowhere in like this old abandoned city. But yeah, they looked really cool. That was a solid fight scene. It was cool to see him struggling with the Darksaber.
Mm-hmm. Like he has been since he got it. Still hasn't mastered that thing.
Nope.
And
which is great for later.
And when he takes out one of the guys, I've seen this animation so many times, and it's when he takes out one of the, I'm calling them Morlocks. I know they're called something else, but
Slee stacks.
Yeah, slee stacks. When he takes one of them out and he puts a Darksaber through him, and he just like falls off, and the way his limp body goes.
Was it the Van Helsing animation?
Could have been the Van Helsing animation. It's been a while since I've seen Van Helsing, but I've seen that exact same like body stance and camera movement. It was in J.J. Abrams' Star Trek 09. One of the Romulans goes out that way, and it was when I was rewatching that because I've seen Force Awakens so many times. Han Solo dies the same way. And when I saw that, I'm like, did JJ just be like, hey, guys at ILM, can you just recycle this and, paste Harrison Ford on there? Because
that's pretty good.
Exactly what it looked like to me. But yeah, after he takes them out, he goes back and he gets Grogu, and he's like, I took out a few of these things. We're probably good. We're safe now.
Yeah. Well,
definitely nothing else.
Well, and then they also find out that the toxicity is incredibly low, like breathably so.
Mm-hmm.
Which is not what he had been told.
No, not what he had been
by
told.
the armorer.
And then Bo's stance on it had flip-flopped.
Yeah.
Where she was like, no, it's fine. Now it's like, no, it's not. And just based on how we saw her in the previous episode, she's very jaded. And we'll get into this later, like as far as everything in the finale of this episode goes. But yeah, it's interesting because like I had said before, the planet itself was inhospitable except for these dome cities. And now all of that is not there anymore. And I don't know if this was some kind of like a side effect of the Empire bombing it the way they did, and it was inhospitable before, and now it is, or if it had always been that way. It's an interesting question, because for all intents and purposes, it should be a very bad place to be.
Yeah, maybe background radiation fades quicker in a galaxy far, far away.
Mm-hmm. And then we go deep in there, where he goes down. He's like, all right, we got to go like even deeper. And then he tells Grogu, like, we're on our own. and I'm like, why are they on their own now? Like, why were they not on their own, like, before they went under the
Yeah, well, because I think he says when they're on the surface, that like the magnetic storm like is keeping it, like they're not gonna be able to transmit and break atmo.
Yeah.
So like they're already alone, like, but they're more alone down there, I guess.
Yeah, I thought that was an interesting, like,
yeah.
statement that he made.
Maybe he meant that like they just couldn't reach the R5.
Maybe, because R5 was definitely gonna protect them.
Yeah.
I would love to have seen R5 wielding the Darksaber to take out the Morlock Slee stacks.
I mean, the way that we've seen Grogu like low key move like Yoda in Attack of the Clones when he fights Dooku, like, all right, we're getting some silly visuals in the show now. Give me an R5 with the Darksaber. I'll take it.
Yeah, it's coming. Half expected him to take it when it was there right in front of him for the taking. Here in this section we'll talk about. So then they're exploring. We see some interesting crocodile dragon wing things.
Crocodile pterodactyls.
Yeah, exactly. And these are interesting. And then we'll talk about also the creature we see at the end of the episode, but everything surrounding like the Mandalorian like culture and ways. We saw the dinosaur turtle last week. Everything is like very like dinosaur like and reptilian.
Yeah.
I'm not complaining about. It's just interesting.
Yeah, definitely seems to fit their vibe.
Mm-hmm. So after they pass those guys, then all of a sudden from underground, we get attacked by a big old spider guy.
Yeah, like a crab mech that's piloted by like another robot.
Yes.
Because the trap gets sprung because he finds a Mandalorian helmet, and then like this mech also has like a Venus flytrap cage on it, I guess, or something similar. So yeah, these robots, they actually reminded me of in the newest Metroid game. There's like these kind of robot dudes that you fight throughout the game, and it reminded me of them.
Interesting.
I can't remember what they're called, but it was the first thing I thought of like when we saw this dude climb out of the crab mech.
Yeah. So then, this guy, he wraps up Mando and he starts hauling him away. Grogu follows. And then he parks it at whatever camp he has, and he gets out, and it's like, oh, there's a smaller guy inside.
Yep.
And then later on, we'll find out there's a smaller guy inside of that one.
Yep, but, smaller guy.
Yeah. And very, like, I really love everything about how this thing, like, looked and moved.
Yeah.
Both in, like, the crab way, and then when he's out, he looks very much kind of like General Grievous, but General Grievous plus like Geonosian and
like porcupine spikes.
Yeah.
Yeah, the creature and character design in this episode is some of the most interesting stuff we've seen, as far as like stuff that we've not really seen in live action Star Wars before.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I thought that was super cool.
I'm here. I'm all for it. I really like this thing, and I think it's important for, Star Wars to show off big, original, and scary creatures, because it's the thing that happens. And, we got the Dianoga and we got the Rancor, and then, I don't know, like the sequel trilogy, we had the Rathtars, and I appreciate them, giving a go with those. But really, for the most part, like, alien stuff in the sequel trilogy wasn't up to snuff, I feel like.
No, I would agree with that. Like the Rathtar, I think, is the closest we got.
Yeah.
And that was more Lovecraftian than anything, I think.
Yeah. So this felt really cool and original and just kind of like the stuff that they should be focusing on. And I really liked it. And I think also the way that it moved can be attributed to, there was a special thank you in the episode and the credits to Phil Tippett, who I think must have been like a consultant on how the animation of how this thing moved, because it was definitely not none of it was stop motion.
No,
but
definitely not.
I could see him like helping to guide them along, or even like creating some kind of a stop or go motion like model for them to like then turn into something CG.
Yeah, it looked really cool.
You know what? I wonder if there's like a way like to take a, like a stop motion puppet, but like it'd be the same thing as, like motion capture with actors in Avatar, but like you just record everything physically and it translates it digitally. That's got to be an easy thing to do. They could have done something like that.
Yeah, I feel like that, dude.
Yeah.
They just put a bunch of mocap things on a crab.
Exactly. So yeah, then Mando tells Grogu, "Hey, go find Bo-Katan," and
Which he does very easily.
Yeah, he's like, "I'm going straight there." Oh, and then he faces a Morlock Sleestack and completely takes him out.
Yeah, with less effort than it took the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
It's like that. Yeah, we get that shot of it jumping down to confront him, and then the next shot is immediately outside of the cave. We're like, nope, nope. We know exactly where this is going.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, he gets back in the N1 Starfighter and takes right off back to that planet that they were at before, where they had seen Bo. And I really love, we saw this droid before, but I just want to like call attention to it. Whoever this droid is that is helping out Bo-Katan, he looks like, I think he looks like 21B mixed with EV99, and when you combine those two, you get this guy.
And then which two droids were those?
21B is the medical droid in Empire. EV99 is the droid that is working in Jabba's palace.
Okay, yes, that's what I thought it was. I saw the picture and I was like, yeah, it looks like that. And the medical droid is that's when Luke's in the back to tank in Empire. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, it looks familiar. And now Bo-Katan's got one.
Yeah, it's nice. And she immediately goes into action and lands there, and then they go through the same steps. One of the things, if I have one complaint about the episode, it's the fact that they get down there, he tells Grogu, maybe it's not a complaint, but he tells him to like go back, and we see him like retrace all the same steps going back to the ship, and then we see him and Bo go through the same steps again, getting back to him, which, it's a two-sided thing here, because on one hand, they're creating like a sense of, geometry in or geography that you're like, okay, I understand where all these things are. I know which is very important, I think, in action, that you're letting everyone know where everything is. But at the same time, I'm like, all right, this is like, it felt like a video game that you had to like go back, and then you're like, all right, I'm going back, I'm redoing all these things.
Doing a little Metroidvania.
Yeah.
I will say, I do like that on the return trip with Bo-Katan, I like the way that the fight with the Sleestacks happens. Where like she senses it like they're above them, and then like shoots the floor out from under them.
Yeah.
And then like that initiates their little fight, and then she gets the Darksaber and wields it effortlessly, because it's meant for her.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm really glad that we got to see her like in solo action. I thought that was a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then she shows up, and like you said, she takes the Darksaber and takes out Droid, Crab, Spider-Man, and the way that she fights with it is, like you said, it's so effortless. She is used to handling it, and to the point where, you know, she's got this, you know, the cool Mando
The little shield thing on her.
Shields. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got that, and she's using the Darksaber with one hand, which Mando, like, seems like it's an effort for her to use two hands.
Yeah, well, I mean, and she wields it as easily as a Jedi wields a lightsaber.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that's like, it's like watching one of the Jedi masters, like, you know, just casually fight whatever, the way that she wields it. When she goes one-handed on it, it's super cool. I also like right before when she's fighting the robot, like in his Grievous form, we get her seemingly killing him. And then his head detaches like it's the Thing.
Yeah.
And crawls away. And then jumps into the crab neck.
Oh, why didn't I think of that? And
that was the first thing. That was the first thing I thought of. I was like, oh man, come on. Now's the perfect time for Bo-Katan to just turn around and go, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah. So then it gets back in the spider thing. She takes it out. And not before we see what its intent is with Mando, where it starts drawing his blood.
Yeah. To what end, I'm not sure, but that is what happens. I was like, is this a robot vampire? Like, what? Yeah, this weird robot creature thing is so interesting, and we don't really get to learn anything about it.
And I kind of like that. I like that it's mysterious. Like, what was his intention with this? What was he?
It's like, are there Ed Gaines in Star Wars? That I think there are, and that's maybe what this dude is.
Could be. And then also, like, you also keep it mysterious. Because even when the head detaches and we see the smallest form of him, it's still not the creature completely exposed. He's still in a canister. Like, it's still like the one eye of what?
Yeah, it's like an eye stalk thing. Yeah. Like a little Krang.
Oh yeah. Little Krang.
Which is also what I thought of, like when the first time you see the eye and then you see the top open, and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna get a little Krang action? Is that what this guy is? Little basket case alien?"
Yeah, and like they both, you know, roam around in machines underground.
Yeah, little technodromes. This one crab walks instead of having take treads.
And then. So she rescues him, and then they have a little convo by the fire where she teaches him how to eat pog soup, which is soup made from, everyone remembers Pogs from the 90s.
Yeah.
That's what she made the soup with.
That's what I figured. There's also another variation of the phrase Pog. But my understanding is when we're doing Star Wars, this is a family-friendly channel, so I'm not going to say what the other one is. But if you have Google, it's PAWG. You can look it up for yourselves.
And so, like, she's like, all right, we're leaving now, right? He's like, no, I got to go, and I got to get baptized. She's like, no, why do you want to do that? I thought you'd give this up after, you know, almost being killed by the vampire robot dude. But
no, he is insistent on cleansing himself in the waters of Lake Minnetonka.
Exactly. It's like, we got to go there. Which might be like more like Lake Placid as we find out. She takes him there, and she's like, yeah, I was here once, like, or maybe more than that. She says she was there as a child.
Yeah.
She said how her dad was very proud of her, used it as, like, you know, a way to, like, show off. He died defending Mandalore, to which he says, this is the way. And then they get there, and she talks about the myth of the mythosaur that was in the waters, and was confronted by ancestors and all this stuff that she's like, blah blah.
Tamed.
This isn't. Yeah. Who believes this? Why? And it's so interesting to me that, because I feel like at one point she really did believe this stuff.
Yeah, that's definitely before Jindarin got the Darksaber, that she seemed like fully dyed in the wool, like believed all of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then after he got the Darksaber, she seemed like she just kind of was in a free fall about it.
Yeah. Which makes, perfect sense, because, speaking as a person who used to be really hardcore into certain faiths and has become jaded over the years, I'm like, I recognize where this character is coming from. I get it.
Yeah. Be relatable.
But I do find it interesting that she's like, I don't believe this, but I'm still she's still hardcore about wearing the armor and living by those ways. She's not given up on the culture, but
yeah,
the spiritual side. This is somehow religious, and I don't understand how yet. We're getting into it, but
I mean, to be fair, if you had dope ass Beskar armor, you gonna tell me you wouldn't wear it?
no, for sure. That is one thing that I think all religions should invest in.
And then she's got that cool helmet that looks like the cover of that Rush album with the owl on it.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, got a little fly by night helmet.
exactly. Yeah, so
that's what I want more of. I want more Mandalorian battle armor that looks like the side of passenger vans. Give me some spray art on the Mandalorian's armor.
Which the the insignias that they have that they get on their shoulder pauldrons do look like that. So
yeah, those are cool. I want Paz Vizsla to come back, and he's just got Vince Vaughn airbrushed on his armor. And it's just Vince Vaughn saying, "You're so money and you don't even know it."
Oh, what if we get Vince Vaughn appearing as one of the other Mandos that appears alongside Paz Vizsla? They're best buddies, and he's like,
I will take Vince Vaughn as literally anyone or anything in the Star Wars universe. Given to me as a stuffed shirt Imperial officer, I'll take it. Even better if he's just being Vince Vaughn about it the whole time. You give me a Vince Vaughn-sized Salacious Crumb voiced by Vince Vaughn, I'm on board with it.
Let's do it.
You recast Cara Dune as Vince Vaughn, not crazy about it, but I'll still take it.
It would be interesting. It would get some views for sure.
Yeah.
And the guy's got range, more than I used to give him credit for.
I mean, I will say he essentially replaced Dave Eisenstein on Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is a pretty big role to fill, and he's been fantastic on it. So yeah,
it's great in Fighting with My Family. He's in Hacksaw Ridge. He's been in a lot of dramatic stuff. I didn't get to see, what is it? Brawl in Cell Block 99. Is that the one that he was in?
Yeah, I have not seen that yet, but I've heard it's really good, and he's really good at it. He's great in that guy's follow-up, Dragged Across Concrete.
That's it too, yeah.
Which is, oh boy, that movie, it feels like your soul has been dragged across concrete by the time you're done, but he's really good in it.
All right, so we're all for Vince Vaughn showing up somewhere in Star Wars.
Yes. Give me all the Vince Vaughn in the Star Wars, please.
And then we get Din. He's finally found the waters, and he's like, you know what? I'm taking off the gear, mostly.
But not his armor.
Not the armor, not the helmet. Not a good idea, if I'm being honest. It would be super uncomfortable and like a nightmare getting that stuff wet and still wearing it. But he does it. And as he's getting in, he starts saying the words. They are the exact same words that are spoken by the armor in the previous episode while she is, putting the helmet on the kid.
Yeah.
And as he finishes, he disappears and he is pulled underwater. And
Yep.
Bo goes after him. And we find out that this place is very deep.
Yeah. I thought it was something pulled him under. I think he just stepped into the deepest part and fell.
I mean, I don't know. Because, I've watched it several times. The way he goes under is definitely faster than gravity.
The way he goes under, absolutely, it looks like that. But when you see them coming back up, like it literally, like there's a step and then just a sheer drop.
Yeah.
That like spans like, so like I guess I don't know like what he thought was gonna happen. Like if he wasn't like watching the water. Because like either way, if he'd taken 2 more steps after where he gets yanked under, like he's still falling.
But I think there would have been more. I know he is wearing armor, but I think there would have been more of a struggle than like a straight on plummet.
Oh yeah, no, I fully agree. I think it definitely was shot to look, and I'm not saying that something didn't pull him under. I'm saying I don't think that they reconcile what we see under with what we see before he gets pulled down. I think that those two things are inconsistent with each other.
Yeah. Also,
but yeah, at any rate, he ends up submerged.
Yeah. Like half a mile deep. And Bo, as a person who had been in the waters, could have told him like, hey, watch, like those are deeper than you think. Watch your step. Yeah.
And then she goes in full, like jetpack, armed, everything. I was like, why didn't he just do that? Like, he doesn't know what's in these waters. No. He's never been here.
Though I guess another thing is maybe she didn't know. Maybe because, like you said, the steps, like, they break off and disappear. It might not have always been like that.
That's true. That's
what we see could have been the result of
that's fair. That's a good point.
So yeah, she goes, retrieves him, and then as she's coming back up, she comes face to face with the mythosaur. We finally see one.
Yeah, this looked really cool, and because this is the horn skull thing that's usually like on their armor. Yeah.
Yep, the horn skull thing. I can't find. I've got stuff with that on it, but not in within reach. But
seeing it like not as a logo branded on the armor, that was really cool.
Yeah, and it's really cool. I've seen many different interpretations. Artists have tried to come up with what this thing would actually look like in real life. And they're all pretty terrible looking because the way that the Mandalorian skull looks is like the teeth are very long and huge, as are the horns. So like it doesn't lend itself to anything that would make sense, I think, in our world.
Yeah, and I also like, I think seeing this thing in passing and obscured and murky through the water, like I think is, because like I feel like if we saw one of these just like in broad daylight with like any kind of obfuscation, it'd probably look pretty ridiculous. But this is the perfect way to like see this thing alive.
Yeah. And again, dinosaur vibes, obviously with the name Mythosaur. It's like a mythical dinosaur. And also, I don't know, you got the Thing vibes from the other guy, but when she sees him and all of a sudden you see like bubbles coming out of her helmet, it reminds you of Richard Dreyfuss in Jaws when the head pops out.
Yep. And then she dropped the shark tooth.
Yeah. And then she gets up, gets Mando safely ashore, and she's like, holy shit. End of the episode.
Yeah, that like Yeah, it definitely resolved stuff quicker than I thought it was going to, but then like it didn't, because like I thought it was going to cut like right when he got yanked under.
Yeah.
I was like, oh yeah, that seems like a good point. I was like, oh no, okay, so she's going to dive down. Like, we'll probably cut that. I was like, oh no, she's. Oh wow, okay, we're just going to see all this stuff play out.
Yep. Yeah, it leaves on like. I mean, it leaves with ends with a resolution, but also like, well, what comes next? What happens? It's.
Yeah.
I've never felt that way about an episode of this series, where there have been cliffhanger episodes, like the penultimate episode of like the first season is that way, but it's just like built up to be like, oh, like there's a lot of tension and drama and like what comes next. This ends in a way that's like, what did we just see? What are we gonna
Yeah, we know the mythosaur is real. We know that Mandalore is not uninhabitable now. Like, yeah, a lot of doors just opened. So yeah, I'm very curious to, because again, like you were saying, this is something we didn't think we were going to see for at least another couple episodes, and I have to imagine Mandalorian's gotten what he needs out of this, so we're probably not going to be hanging out there too much longer.
Yeah, I guess.
So yeah,
I don't know. I don't know where it's going, and that's a very good feeling. I don't like knowing like I can kind of predict the arc of a season. I like that this ended in a way that I'm like, I would have thought the season would have ended near something like this, as opposed to second episode, which is great.
Yeah, this definitely, like, this almost feels like it would have been a better start to the season than the previous episode. So
I saw a lot of comments that said that should have been the premiere, and you know, I can sympathize with that sentiment. I do think they had to kind of like set things up. You know?
Oh no, they absolutely had to, and again, I think it's entirely just because we basically got the backdoor premiere episode in Book of Boba Fett, so we're really kind of starting season 3 like on the 3rd or 4th episode, which is why I think the first episode felt the way that it did.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's where we are, and now we got, you know, I'm real curious what it's going to be. So interesting, like how they're both going to come away from this, because I think Mando was unconscious, so I don't think he saw what Bo saw.
Definitely.
She's the one who saw the thing, and now she's got to like come to terms with that.
Yeah, and she for all intents and purposes saw the face of God.
Yeah.
Basically.
And does she tell him? Like, and what does he think of it? I'm very interested how the dynamic between them like continues to play out now that this has happened.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then if she's feeling inspired to challenge for the Darksaber after this too. So yeah, I'm feeling like that. I mean, obviously, like the first episode, you know, I'm on board for Mandalorian right now, regardless. Like always, like the first episode, I wasn't so meh on that. Like I was like, oh, this show will never be good again. But like this episode makes me feel like the show, like I should never have doubted, and not that I did, but like this feels like it's kind of back on a track that makes sense.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Yeah.
That's how they do it.
Ah, Mando.
I forgot all about the soundboard this episode, so I'm catching up.
Yeah. Where's Mama Clunky?
Oh, where are you at?
Get the hell out of the way, hammerhead.
Nope, that's Clint Eastwood calling a guy hammerhead.
McClunky.
There it is.
Yeah, there we go. Give me that sweet McClunky.
All right. So with McClunky, that's about the time we would wrap things up. So,
Yeah.
Dustin, as I start the stuff, where do people find more of you?
If you want to fight me, just walk around Culver long enough. We'll probably cross paths.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you can find me on the internet at Dustin Meadows on Instagram and Twitter. You can find all of my short films and some comedy and music stuff I do on my YouTube. It's Dustin Meadows Comedy. That's it for now.
Cool. And you can find me at Travis Fishburne. You can find the show at Who Watches Podcast at gmail.com, at Who Watches Pod on Twitter. And so until next week, initiate self-destruct sequence.